Hey guys, and welcome to Just Us 3, Episode 3. Today we will be discussing taboos in today's society, including topics such as period poverty, and body hair.
How are you both this week?
Yeah, doing really well, thank you.
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yeah, happy to be returning to a bit of normality at long last.
We're looking forward to a bit more freedom when we go home for Christmas.
So, in today's episode, we're going to jump straight in and talk about periods. So, do any of you want to start?
The reason why we wanted to discuss periods today is because we believe there needs to be a greater understanding of what women go through when they're on their periods. So, don't mean to stereotype, but a lot of boys, understandably, don't know what we go through because they don't experience it themselves. And as well, they're not educated on it. It's not like you get taught about it in school or anything. So we thought it was an important topic to discuss.
Because I think it can definitely be a daunting prospect, especially when you're a young girl. And we've all been there when we've just started our periods, and you think, oh gosh, I don't really know what I'm doing or what to expect. And it's things that people don't talk about. Which is why we're here today to try and talk about a bit more openly about things, such as an issue I've had, and I know a lot of people have had, is leaking when you're on your period. So I don't know if you guys have ever had this, but especially like when you're in school or at a sleepover or, in PE, it can be quite common, I think.
I've had many horror stories with leaks in school and just been like, oh my god, what do I do? And it's awful as a girl, especially like I remember going to college and like going from like wearing uniform to like my own clothes and like making sure when I was on my period that I was wearing certain clothes. And it's like people don't realize how, well, obviously girls do, but I don't think many people realize how it influences you. And obviously there's obviously a massive stigma around when people say, oh, it's your time of the month, oh, it's her time of the month, oh, that's why she's in a bad mood. And it's such a big thing. Like it can also affect your mental health, and it can just make you feel really ill as well. I know a lot of people, like a lot of my friends who have had periods and they've had to go on the pill in order to kind of control that because it's literally made them so ill that they've had to be off school. So yeah, it's definitely a massive thing that I think gets pushed to one side a lot.
I feel like when you're on your period, you've always got things in the back of your mind. So you've always got to be thinking, oh, I need to go and change my pad or my tampon, or oh, is how I'm acting reflecting the fact that I'm on my period, or oh, am I leaking? You've always got to be thinking about it, and it's like you can't fully relax.
Yeah.
It's especially difficult when you're in school because obviously you want to be concentrating on what you're doing, but sometimes it can be really difficult. And as well, something that you find in schools is that some teachers never let you go to the toilet. Did you ever find that at school?
Yeah, literally. That's something that I still can't get my head around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is baffling.
Yeah, and you kind of had to give the look to be like, it's not a case of that I want to go to the toilet, it's more of a I need to go to the toilet. Going back to what you were saying, Liv, about the time of the month and behaviour being put down to the fact that we're on our periods, although it is okay for women's behaviour to be put down to that, it shouldn't be held against them because obviously everyone's experiences are different when they're on their periods and no one's entitled to judge, especially those who don't have periods.
Yeah, I know often, and I don't think he'll mind me saying this, but my brother would be like, oh, you're on your time of the month. And I'm like, no, like sometimes I can just genuinely be in a bad mood. And if I am, it's a bad stigma to have around it that, oh, just because you're in a bad mood means that you're on your period because there's so many other things happening. Especially when you're in so much pain as well. Like I've been very fortunate that my period, I don't get many cramps. But I know a lot of girls really, really struggle with that. And yeah, it's not really right, to be fair.
I feel so grateful that mine aren't as bad as what they could be, honestly. I don't know how some girls do it, honestly.
I mean, yeah, with mine, it's a bit the opposite. So I was never put on the pill originally for contraceptive reasons. It was more because my flow was quite heavy. And I don't know, I know a few people who get this, but then I've spoken to some girls who don't, and I'm not too sure about you guys, but Whenever it's that time, I get a lot of changes with my breasts. I don't know, and it's something that's been a bit like they get quite sore. So it used to affect like in PE and that. So yeah, it's weird. I think everyone goes on, or tries to control it in different ways. Because I know there's like the coil and is it the implant? I'm not too sure. But yeah, I know. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know about different ways of controlling it. But
and I feel like a lot of people don't know that the contraceptive pill is actually a way of regulating your periods. So obviously a lot of people just associate it with a form of protection, which is obviously its main purpose, but a lot of girls also go on it to ensure that their flow is a lot more regular, and it can often make it a lot lighter.
Yeah.
So I didn't go on the contraceptive pill for that reason, but since going on it, my flow is definitely a lot more regular. I can predict when it's going to come and when it's going to end based on when I do and don't take my pill, which is great because obviously you can plan in advance and you know what to expect. And whereas before it was kind of you didn't know when to expect it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like I'm currently not on any form of contraception just because of my own medical reasons. And yeah, the thing is, it's hard. Like just like going back to what you said, Hannah, about breasts and stuff. I do experience a lot of changes in that respect. I remember being younger and it being a real problem for me. Like you said in PE, like I used to have to wear, when it was that time of the month, I used to have to wear my own bra. And then I had to wear like a sports bra on top of my own bra because they were so sore. It needed like a bit more support with that. There's a lot of changes that your body can go through on your period, and yeah, it's very hard. So yeah, I agree with you.
I don't know about you two, but did you ever have to do trampolining at secondary school in PE?
Yeah. Oh,
the worst combination is trampolining and being on your period.
And sneezing. Sorry, I was going to say too much info, but I guess that's what this is about. But oh my gosh, yeah, that was the three combined.
The worst combination. You knew it was going to be a bad day when that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed this, and I cannot remember who I spoke to about it, but I was on about like what I used, like this pads or if I use a tampon. And personally, I like to use pads just because I feel like they're more comfortable. I have used tampons, obviously, if I've been on holiday or something. But like a lot of people like put it down, like if you use pads, like, oh my God, you don't use tampons, like you're this age. And I'm like, does it matter what I use to, if I use, there's like Diva cups or whatever. I've noticed there's a stigma around that. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but I've had people say to me, don't you use this and don't you use that, and oh my God, you're older now, you should use this. And I'm like,
what? It should be up to everyone to use what they want.
Yeah, if anything, now that you're older, you should be able to take control of what you use, because obviously when you're younger, you're guided by what your parents, well, also your mum than anything, but what your parents and female family members tell you to use and what they guide you towards.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys ever used any like I really want to like sustainable products? I've seen the Diva cup, but I don't know why I'm not bold enough to use it. It's scary.
I've only ever used pads. I've never used tampons before. But I've never used any sustainable products either. But I just want to mention, actually, while we're here, one of my housemates, Eloise, she's part of Enactus Sheffield, which is basically where they run lots of, I don't know whether they're called social enterprises, but it's kind of like a charity style thing. And they're actually in the process of producing reusable pads.
Oh, wow.
And the initiative also helps girls in India who don't have obviously access to like period products. So their initiative not only provides sustainable products to people in the UK, but for every purchase it also helps girls in India. But obviously because of COVID, they're struggling at the moment to produce them. But yeah, it's definitely something to look out for in the future because they are in the process of making them. So I'll be sure to leave all of their details in the podcast description because honestly, it's such a good initiative.
Oh, please do. I'd love to read more about that.
Yeah, and they've also got a really good Instagram page where they share facts about periods. They often do a few quizzes on the Instagram stories. It's just a really useful page, actually. It's really insightful.
Oh, that's good.
Great.
Interesting.
I don't know about you guys, but you probably will agree. I think pads should be free. Like all period products should be free to all girls.
The fact that condoms are given out for free in some circumstances leads us to question why women have to pay for pads and tampons.
Yeah.
It does.
We don't choose to have periods, they just naturally happen. So the fact that we have to pay for these products, I feel like capitalism is thriving because products that are free are making companies such huge amounts of money. Because obviously pads and tampons and any of the products that people use, they are a necessity and women can't get out of buying them. But it's like the cheaper the product, the worse quality it is. So we have to spend a decent amount of money on good quality pads to ensure that we don't leak.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I think a lot of people who don't get periods, they probably assume that it's one size fits all sort of thing, and you don't really have a choice what pad you get. But I mean, I don't know about you, but in my experience, is it Always and the company?
Yeah.
They're far better quality than other brands, but they're more expensive, and especially Tampax. You know, it can be over £3 for a box of 20 and 20 tampons, and for some people who get heavy flows, you know, that could be every month. And if if you're not earning, it can add up over time, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. Oh my god, where did I go? I think I went to Tesco's the other day and I got like the night ones, because obviously they're a lot thicker and just a lot better quality, and it was like £3 something, and I was just like, if I can, obviously I'm in a really privileged position that I can afford to go and buy pads, but people can't, and that is just like not, especially students as well. I know a lot of people that are on very strict budgets, and adding that on top of it, that's another, let's say you are switching them out every single month, that is a lot of money to spend towards something that you only use once as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously Scotland has just made, I think they're the first area to make period products free for everyone, which I think is just such a great step forward, especially in the current climate.
Definitely. Even if we just take small steps like putting free pads and tampons in school bathrooms, that would be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Because when I was in sixth form, they did have some pads in the bathroom, which I thought was really good, but obviously they go so quickly because there are so many girls going in and out of those toilets. They've just got to be constantly refilling them. So they would run out quite frequently.
Yeah, I know it is. I just remember loads of girls, like, if you suddenly got caught on your period, it is awful because you suddenly have a panic of, oh my god, I forgot my pads, or oh my god, I didn't expect it, because periods are all over the place. They can be early, they can be late, they can just be just everywhere. And I remember so many people coming to me saying, Olivia, have you got pads? Olivia, have you got a tampon? Olivia, like, because you don't want to get caught out. It is such an awful feeling. I don't know if you guys ever had it where you're just like, shit, what do I do? Like, I'm at school, I can't do anything. And you need to go up to people. And I think it should be removed as well. I know people used to feel kind of awkward asking, but never feel awkward in asking your friends for any form of period products, anything, because, at the end of the day, you need it, and it should just not be stigmatized, which I just hate about periods.
Yeah, and if you don't manage to get some, I mean, it should be accessible to everyone, but it can also cause things like infections if you just stick toilet roll there. But it's always better to ask, and no one's going to ever judge you for asking if anyone has any period products on them. In the UK, 1 in 10 girls can't afford to buy menstrual products, which is crazy, isn't it? I didn't know.
Yeah, that really, when I was researching these, it really surprised me, because obviously when you think of period poverty, you instantly associate it with countries abroad and places that are in real poverty. You wouldn't think that it'd be happening in the UK, but it really is.
It is such a big issue. Like, I don't know, I think you kind of think, oh, everyone can afford this, but it is a privilege, and it shouldn't be a privilege because every single girl gets it, and not only girls but also transgender boys as well. I think that's something that I think we should highlight too, that I think periods are for also for both genders, especially people who are transitioning like that, that it is, you know, it's such a hard thing and horrible thing that people can't afford it. It's awful.
That leads us on to our next statistic, which is that 1 in 7 people in the UK have struggled to afford period products.
Yeah, that's not good at all. And like you said, it does make the issue very much alive, and it is very much happening in this country, which, I mean, I personally didn't know it was that high.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely shocking to read.
Which also leaves us to question, like, why don't we know that it is so rife in this country? Why is this not being discussed more openly in the media?
Or in Parliament. But then I think, I mean, I personally can't, I mean, as awful as it is to say, I can't even imagine Boris, you know, thinking about like girls our age on their periods, you know. Yeah. It's probably because, again, it's a taboo subject, and that's why we're talking about it today. But it should not be the case at all, and we should definitely be more aware of these statistics, and that's why it's so good that people like Eloise are doing what they're doing.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is hard, and I think there should be more done. I think in school, I don't know when you guys had your period talk, as it was called, but the girls were all like put into one room, and they were like, okay, so this is your period, and you're going to get like a little box with all your period things in. But I actually think it's really important to have boys in there as well, you know, to have boys educated. And there's obviously a stigma, even, you know, I'm only 20, and God, how old was I when I had my period talk? Probably 10, let's say around 10. So even 10 years ago, there's still this stigma of separating girls, you know, having it really quiet, and like, oh, you know, just having a one-to-one with the girls, you know, not having boys involved, which I think everyone should be involved and included in periods. So if boys had a better understanding, like I said earlier, there wouldn't be that, oh, she's on her period kind of stigma around it.
And also, I think that would remove the awkwardness of then having to ask like your female like classmates for pads. Like, you wouldn't be worrying about what the boys might think, or the boys noticing that you're struggling, because obviously when you're discreetly trying to ask somebody for like a pad or something, you're always worried about how other people are going to react, specifically the boys. So maybe that would reduce how you feel.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Especially in PE, because in year 11 for us, we merged with the boys.
Okay.
And I don't know, I can't speak for other people, but I was always very conscious, and like you touched on, Katie, before, especially when we did trampolining, it was always a bit of a horror show. But yeah, it shouldn't be that way, and hopefully over time it does change that and how people view it.
I know. I remember we used to do swimming at my school, so I think we stopped around GCSEs, but we used to all like go to a swimming pool or whatever. And I remember even the PE teachers who were female PE teachers, and the girls were like, sorry, I can't do swimming, you know, this week, I'm on my period. They would get so funny with girls about it, like, you know, you should be doing this and doing that. And it's kind of like, I'm sorry, I can't do the swimming class this week because I'm on my period. Like, there shouldn't be like a stigma. You can't help if you're on it. Like, if you don't feel well, some girls don't feel comfortable wearing tampons. So yeah, that should definitely be removed.
I could never understand when female PE teachers never understood. I mean, I can sort of understand male PE teachers not understanding, because some of them were completely oblivious to things, but the females that actually go through the same thing were never that understanding. And not even in just things like swimming, because obviously it's a lot easier to get out of swimming if you're on your period than other sports. Yeah. But even just if your cramps are really bad, I feel like that is such a valid excuse not to take part in a PE lesson.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because some people get them so severely.
Like doubled over sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know people who get like migraines, they'd have to be off school, they'd get so ill. Like I spoke to my mum about it because we spoke very openly about periods and stuff. And she said, "Oh, I'm so glad you don't get them as bad as I did." She used to be so sick and have to be off school. And I just am lucky that I didn't have that. And I think it is so hard. And I just don't understand why people don't understand it. But I guess that's why we're speaking about it.
Research by Plan International UK found that 49% of girls have missed an entire day of school because of their periods. And 59% of these girls have made up a lie or an alternative excuse to avoid going to school. So not only have people missed days of school because of their periods, but they don't feel like they can actually speak up about it, and they have to find an excuse for it, which I think is horrible.
Yeah, like I agree. I've actually had a bit of a horror story with missing school once, that when I was on my period, that basically I kind of got my period and I didn't know, as daft as that sounds, and I was just going about my day, and then I went to the toilet and had a very heavy period, which isn't like me, and honestly it was just everywhere, and I had to go into a lesson and wait for my mum for an hour to come pick me up, and it was awful. Like luckily I had a dark skirt so you couldn't see anything, but I was in chemistry, just sat there like, where is my mum? I want to go home. And then I remember having, when my mum was like, because when I called her I was like, mum, I kind of have had like a massive problem with my period. So she's like, don't worry, I'll come pick you up, it's fine. And I was like, okay, yeah, sorry, I'm ill, I've got to go home. And the teacher was like, you were fine this morning, what was wrong, why are you going home? So I completely relate to making up an excuse that, you know, sometimes you can't just say, well, sorry, I'm on my period, I'm literally covered in blood, you know what I mean, that happens. But have you two had any other horror stories that might have happened to you on your period?
There was one, and it was when I was in an orchestra. Okay. And whenever we did a concert in the afternoon, we had to go and do 3 hours of rehearsals in the morning in the same venue. And you weren't really allowed to get up for 3 hours. You had to like stay there and basically play the piece over and over again. Anyway, being sat down for 3 hours, as you know, gravity doesn't really do its thing until you stand up. Yeah, that's and let's just say I was not expecting anything, and yeah, it wasn't good, and it resulted in me having to call mum and ask her to bring a spare pair of trousers for the afternoon concert. But that, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But yeah, Katie, have you?
I personally haven't, but I've assisted a lot of friends when they've been in need. Obviously, I won't name and shame or go into their stories because obviously it's not my place to. But yeah, I've done a lot of running around, grabbing things to try and help friends out.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even, like, just saying when you said about name and shame, it shouldn't even be like a shameful thing. Like if you unfortunately get caught out, it's such an awful feeling because you're like, what the hell do I do? You know, like you're just like, I remember thinking, I went to the bathroom and I was like I can't go out anywhere. But I managed to, because I just managed to get myself sorted. But I remember my friend being like, Olivia, what is taking so long? And I was just there like, what do I do? So yeah, it is an awful thing.
Were you ever worried about leaking, and in which situations were you most concerned?
If I was wearing like some white trousers or like a white skirt or something, because if it was like near my period, I'd be like avoiding wearing things that were white just in case, you know, it just happened.
I always try to avoid wearing like my favourite trousers or skirts when I'm on my period, just for the fear of leaking.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I'm trying to think. I used to work as a waitress. I'd worry about if it was busy, not being able to get to the toilet for a while. But no, I was never really worried about leaking in that sense.
The worst one for me is in bed.
Yeah.
I don't get that. When I go to bed, I don't have, like, I don't bleed, and then I wake up in the morning and it's like a tsunami. So I don't have that.
I would rather be in that situation.
Yeah, no, I think for me, yeah, it's lying in bed all night, and when you first stand up again, it's like, oh, not good. But
I always find in bed that I have to lay in certain positions that I know that I won't leak in. But then obviously once you fall asleep, you can't control the way, like how you move and the positions that you lay in. So when I wake up, the first thing I do is just hop out of bed and make sure that there's nothing on my sheets or anything.
Yeah, I think I won't name who it is, but I know someone that used to have to like use like when them like baby sheets, like when you were changing your baby, they would have to use that at night because the period was so heavy, and if she was moving around, it would just get everywhere. So that's what she had to do. So I'm very lucky that I never had that, but yeah, it is very hard. I think it's not really talked about that leaking is such a worrying thing for girls, especially when you're on your period.
I use one of those baby sheets, Liv,
Yeah.
on my bed, yeah, just to be safe. Because obviously you have your mattress, then I have my mattress protector, then I have the baby sheet, and then I have my bed sheet on top, just to ensure that it doesn't go through onto anything else. I mean, luckily enough, I haven't leaked recently, or if I have, it hasn't been awful, but I just obviously don't want to get it on the mattress, and I'd rather get it on a baby sheet or a mattress protector.
well, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Does it offend you guys when people put your behaviour down to the time of the month?
Yes. Sometimes, like I've had times when, like, okay, I might just randomly cry, and I'm like, oh my god, this is, like, because you can't help it. At the time, it feels like such an awful thing. For instance, I had it the other day where I think I was trying to open a jar and I couldn't open the jar, and I was just like, oh, and it's just, like silly things like that everything's heightened. But when people make fun of you for that, it belittles you. And at the time, especially when you're feeling a bit more sensitive, it's just not nice.
As well, I feel like it makes you so much more conscious of your behaviour, because so obviously we laugh it off and make a joke out of it and make light of the situation, but say you're not on your period, you then think, oh my goodness, do I come across like I'm in a mood all the time? Am I too emotional?
Yeah, definitely. And also your period can affect your mental health a lot as well. I know people who, if you suffer with depression, it can make it worse. If you can suffer with anxiety, it can just heighten that because, again, you're more worried about things. So yeah, there's so many contributing factors to it as well.
Yeah, and I know we've already touched on this, but do you guys think Scotland have done the right thing by making period products free for everyone?
100%.
Without a doubt. You shouldn't be taxed. It shouldn't be a thing that, like, men are not going through the extra expense, like I mentioned earlier, about having it every single month, like an extra £3 odd or whatever you're paying for. Even if you're paying for sustainable period products, they are more expensive, and it's just hard. Like, it's just so hard on an expense side of things as well.
I think they're leading by example, and I hope a lot of other places follow suit as a result.
Yeah, definitely. I read on Twitter that in the last year, the VAT on period products has actually risen in England. So when you think about that, it's like Scotland have taken one step forward and we've taken 2 steps back. But
yeah,
hopefully, that happens in England as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. One thing I wanted to add that a lot of people don't know about is the fact that girls' periods actually sync based on who they're around. I know the girls that I live with won't mind me mentioning this. I know that they'll be listening, but we've actually experienced this in the house where all our periods are at different times, but your mood and how you feel relies heavily on the people that you're surrounded by and whether it's their time of the month. And obviously the hormones and pheromones that you give off really impact other people's moods.
Yeah, no, I was briefly aware of it. I did think it was a myth, but I was talking to a housemate the other day, and I think we both came on the same day. So yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't know the science behind it.
Yeah, I learned about it in psychology during my A levels when we were doing, I can't remember which topic it was now, it was quite a while ago, but there are a lot of studies that back it up, and it was like these women would rub their pheromones on each other and their periods would sync. Which I think is so interesting, and obviously like we've experienced it in real life, so
yeah. No, that is interesting. Yeah, I like I said, I didn't know that the hormones let off, was it pheromones, did you say?
Yeah, I'm not really sure the technicalities of it all, but I know that they're pheromones. I'm not sure if pheromones are a type of hormone, but if anyone wants to learn more about it, I will leave a link in the podcast description to it. But yeah, it's something very interesting to learn about periods.
Yeah, definitely. That is really interesting. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm also on my period, I find that my body hair seems to get like, I just seem to get more body hair. I don't know what you guys experience with your body hair, but I just find that as well.
Really? That's so interesting.
I don't specifically when I'm on, but I think definitely after, but I think every human on the planet goes through this when, you know, when you start hitting puberty. Yeah, there's definitely more after that, but yeah, not specifically for every period, but yeah. So it's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I find that I'm a kind of girl that can, like, people say to me, I've had someone turn to me and go like, Olivia, you're blonde and you shouldn't have like body hair, like your body hair's not even that bad. And I'm like, dude, have you seen my eyebrows? I have very thick hair, and for a long time I found that my body hair, I don't know about you girls, but when it came to PE, oh my god, shaving, and I used to be so self-conscious about shaving, and like if it was swimming I would be like, you know, self-conscious about making sure my bikini line looked good and just things like that, and razor bumps and everything. What have you guys experienced with body hair?
Well, if you think back to year 7, like Liv, you going back to what you were saying about swimming as well, our swimming lessons were back in year 7 and 8. And I'm not being funny, but in year 7 and 8, you shouldn't be thinking about shaving. That just seems so early on, but it was something that we had to think about because obviously your legs were out, your armpits were out, your bikini line, it all had to be like, you had to have minimal or no body hair there. And to think, we were how old when we were in year 7? 12?
Yeah,
that's very young when you think about it.
Yeah, honestly.
No, it's I think something interesting about body hair though is like, I don't know, every single person is different in terms of what they have and what they don't have, and I think it's like this sort of stigma where women should literally have none apart from like their hair on their head, but it's just not realistic for a lot of people. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it's like, it is weird.
If I'm being honest, I could literally grow a unibrow if I wanted to. People look at me and think,
go for it.
Look at me and think, oh, you know, Olivia doesn't have, because I'm blonde, I get it so often, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't. And I'm like, yeah, my parents both have really dark hair. I'm gonna have a lot of hair. I'm just a hairy person, but it just being hard for young girls, and it's definitely a profiting thing, again, much like periods, that, you know, raises and things. It was kind of like someone was like, you know what, a man in his office was like, you know what can we profit on? You know, women are now being able to wear shorter skirts and being able to wear different things. How can we make more money off them? How can we, you know, we need to still have these gender separating things. How can we do this? Oh, you know, we're going to make women shave, and men can't shave. Men can be hairy and have this hair, but women have to be hairless and be this kind of certain way.
It never used to be an expectation for women to shave, but it was first introduced in the 1920s when razor adverts in magazines started like portraying body hair in a negative light. So in ways that it was seen as not being hygienic or it was unladylike. And so women then felt like it was an expectation for them to shave. And like you said, Liv, it's just another way for owners of companies to make money and for capitalism to thrive.
Exactly. Women shouldn't be put in a box to, you know, shave and things. And it's also the cost of it too. Like if you're buying creams and foams and moisturizers and the razors, and you know, razors are so expensive.
Yeah,
like
I was just about to say that they are so expensive.
like, I don't know about you guys, but I've I've had waxing done before, and I've had like a Brazilian done before I've gone on holidays, and it's not fun. It's quite invasive, and
Very painful.
yeah, it is. Like you know, boys aren't going, like when boys are going on holiday, it's just kind of like, yep, throwing a pair of trunks. I'm not saying this for all boys, I'm not trying to like stigmatize things. If you want to shave, go for it. But you know, generally for girls, we have to go through so much, especially, I don't know if you guys get it, but like if you're going to go on holiday, it's like you've got to pay for waxing done, you've got to go like shave, you've got to make sure you're taking your razors with you and all these different things. It's insane.
And it grows back so quickly as well. So you'll have shaved one day, the next day it'll be like stubbly. It's like, gosh, I've only just done it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with waxing, like, because I've had it done before going on holiday too. And I don't know about you guys, but I've got quite sensitive skin. So if I get it done the day before, it just looks really strange when I like walk around like the pool, and basically like half my legs are red. But
and you're doing like a little shuffle because it still hurts a bit. You're a bit tender.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you forget to take some comfy clothes with you to the waxing appointment, it's just, it's so painful afterwards. But yeah, you do wonder where all these like stereotypes have come from, and all these stigmas to sort of, I don't know, because before you go on holiday, it can take ages to just sort of get rid of all the hair you want to get rid of. It's just such a, I don't know, it takes up loads of time.
So much preparation goes into holidays. It's not even just leg hair, it's like getting your nails done, having your hair done, sorting out your eyelashes, eyebrows and everything.
Yeah.
It's hard, like going back to the stigma of it, so mixed up that you can't win. Like if you grow it out, then you're told that you're gross, but then if you have too much off, you're told that you're not attractive, and it's kind of just like, what?
You know, like just as long as you feel comfortable with what you've got and that you're with somebody, say you've got a partner, that not that they should feel comfortable with it, because it doesn't matter what they think, but you should be with somebody that respects what you choose to do.
Exactly, yeah.
Do either of you feel self-conscious of your body hair?
As I think as I've gotten older, I don't care. I just remember being younger, I'd be very, very self-conscious about body hair and not shaving, and having, you know, like when they call it strawberry legs when you shave, and being so worried about that. And then as I kind of got older, I'm just like, screw it, this is you know, if I can't be asked to shave one day, it is what it is, you know what I mean? It doesn't bother me as much. What about you two?
I think only really on holiday, and yeah, I don't know. I think the only time I feel conscious really is being on holiday. And I think before getting in a relationship, I was always a bit worried about the expectations of that and whether you'd have to literally shave every single day. But you know, the reality is very much not like that. And I think, you know, as long as you're happy with and you feel comfortable with what you've got, and you know, if you want to get rid of it all, I think definitely do it. If you don't want to, don't even worry. It shouldn't be a thing. And I know people online have got backlash before. I think it was Bella Thorne didn't shave her legs or armpit like hair for a while, and unfortunately she did get a lot of backlash. But I mean, I don't know, I am only self-conscious when I'm, you know, in a bikini or swimming costume really. But yeah, I'd say that's the only time. What about you, Katie?
I always remember in school, like when you'd wear those nice like smart trousers, because in sixth form we had to dress quite smart, and like only a small part of my leg would be showing, but say I hadn't have shaved that like that morning or the night before, I'd always be so worried that somebody would notice the hair. And now I'm just looking back, like, who even cares? Like nobody would have looked at my legs in the first place, and nobody then would have thought, oh my goodness, she's got hairy legs, how disgusting, because nobody actually cares about anybody else. Like that is the reality of it. We're all so worried about what other people think of us, but we're all just worrying about ourselves really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't See, I always shave, but that's just because I find it more hygienic to do that. I mean, I say that, but then I feel like subconsciously it's because we know it's a societal expectation to shave it. But I like to tell myself it's because I think it's hygienic, because I don't want to think that I'm playing up to societal expectations. But yeah, I guess in some ways I do feel conscious of it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I shave because I do like to feel, especially under my arms, I like to just feel cleaner. It is my personal preference, because when I found that I've kind of let it grow a little bit, I just don't feel like I'm as clean. And that is just a personal, maybe, like you said, it is the style thing. But I think it's fine if that's how you feel and that's what makes you feel comfortable, that shaving regularly gives you that confidence to do it. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm like freshly shaved out the shower, I'm just like, oh, you feel like, I don't know, I do feel quite nice when I've done it. And I think it's just down to your preference. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't always shave because not everyone's got time to always shave, but I do try, I do pretty much do it weekly. So, you know, it's just what you want to do.
I follow a girl on social media. I'm not going to name her, but she's an absolute feminist icon, and she grows out her armpit hair, obviously personal preferences, and that's what she chooses to do. And I just look, and I'm not disgusted by it at all. I think everyone does what they want to do, and that's absolutely fine. But I just look at it, and she looks so empowered by the fact that she's done it and that she's breaking this societal expectation. And I just wish I had it in me to be able to do that, but it is just my personal preference not to. But honestly, she's just such an icon, and I love the fact that she just does whatever she wants and doesn't care what anybody else thinks. And she'll happily like pose in a photo with her arm up and show her armpit hair. And the comments that she gets from girls, they're literally, her comment section is just flooded with girls being so supportive and lovely to her, and it's so nice to see.
It is important that people do what they feel comfortable doing. Definitely.
Something else I just wanted to touch on is one of my favourite videos is Unjaded Jade's video on body hair. She delves into the history of body hair, which is what we've briefly touched on, but she grew out her leg hair for 3 years and then she decided to shave it off. I can't remember why she wanted to shave it, but yeah, after 3 years, she finally did it. And the video is just so empowering, and just the fact that she has done whatever she wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And again, I'll link it in the podcast description because I think you should all go and watch it. I love the video. It's only like 6 minutes long and it's such a good watch. So yeah, definitely recommend. So a relatively new razor company has actually surfaced on social media recently with a lot of influencers promoting them. So their core message is that you should do whatever you want with your body hair. So if you want to shave it, they can provide you with what you need to be able to do that. And their products are also like vegan, cruelty-free, sustainable. But yeah, I just think it's really nice that a razor company is actually identifying that not all girls want to shave nowadays, but if they want to, their products are there to be able to help them. That's kind of the message behind it, is that everyone can do what they want.
That's a really good message. I've not heard of the company, but I'll definitely look them up. And we'll leave.
It surprises me, Han, that you haven't heard of them, because a lot of like young female influencers are promoting them at the moment.
Yeah, not sure.
But again, on the other side of it, it's like, although they're saying that you should be able to do whatever you want with your body hair, they're still making a profit from selling razors. So it's like, how much do they believe what they're saying, kind of thing? And especially because although the razors are lovely, like they're really aesthetically pleasing, they are still expensive, and they do provide like a monthly subscription type thing. But again, like we said with the periods, it is a monthly expense. You've constantly got to be able to replace the products that you've used. So yeah, it's kind of a nice incentive behind the razors, but at the same time leaves us to question, well, is that what you really think, or are you just using that as a way to make money?
Yeah, like I've used products such as, I don't know if you've heard of it, I think it's an epilator, where it's basically this like little, it looks like a razor but not a razor, and it like pulls out your hair. And it's quite painful, I'm not gonna lie. But the thing is like they're really expensive to keep buying them from like Braun and things like that. And even like laser hair surgery and things like that, it is such an expensive thing to keep doing. And I know people do it because it makes them feel more comfortable, but it's just so expensive. Like, you've got to think like this extra thing. If we just didn't have to do this, if that wasn't made way back in the 1920s and we could just, you know, wear our hair like we wanted to wear it, then, you know, imagine how much money we'd be actually saving, you know, like how this industry wouldn't be so big.
Well, I think that is a wrap for episode 3. Thank you very much for listening. We're always very grateful to anyone who listens to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or whatever platform you listen on. If you ever have any questions or ever want to get involved in an episode, please contact us via the email or on our social media accounts. We'd love to hear from you. Anything else you guys want to add?
Next week's episode is going to be on relationships, which I am so excited for. I don't know about you two, but I have a feeling it could be our best episode yet. So be sure to stay tuned in 2 weeks' time when that comes out, because it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who is sharing the podcast. It means so much to all of us from this little idea that we had that's now starting to get, you know, much bigger. So thank you to everyone who keeps supporting and sharing it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.